Can I tell you something else funny about my CM? The guy who just called me.
What?
He always leaves me a voicemail.
What do you mean?
Like on the phone, like a voicemail. And I never leave voicemails anymore. I will hang up the phone and text you because it's 2019 and nobody wants to listen to their voicemails.
Yeah. I find that every now and then I'll look at my voicemails. I'll have a bunch of voicemails. Just delete them all without listening to anything. I'm like, if it was important, you'd call me back.
Or you didn't text because it's 2019.
Yeah. I'm so sick of that disclaimer.
I'm so sick of it. Like, if you've listened before, you know you just got to take it for what it's worth. Dude. And don't associate us with anyone or anything.
I feel like, is that where we're at as a society? Where we have to have a disclaimer?
Kind of. You know what's really funny is, like, yes, I feel like we are, because everyone is liable, I guess, on some level. But we're also more connected with everybody in the world now, more than we've ever been. So yeah. I think it's funny. You got everybody's views and opinions coming out on Facebook and Insta and everywhere else, and it's like, does what I say even really matter anymore?
Dude, I don't hear anybody give a disclaimer.
Isn't it just lost in a sea of other people's opinions?
Isn't it? Ours is just important.
Yeah, well, you say that a lot.
Super
important.
This is super important. Well, what we're talking about today is not that important, but it's important to the.
We're talking about us.
To the loyal listeners.
We're talking about this.
Yeah. So let's talk about 2019. So we started this thing.
We started this thing literally like right around Christmas last year.
It was like a year ago.
Yeah, it's like I think the first one was late December in 18.
I think it was right after we got back from Mexico.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were just joking about this before we started recording. And I've probably said it on the podcast before. The good part about this was that, it's just Damien's idea, and Damien is obviously the man behind this thing, this whole podcast idea and builder tactics and all the stuff that we're doing here is definitely Damien's brainchild. And the way he sold me on it. And notice I said he sold me on it. He was like, look, dude, it's going to be easy.
Super easy.
We're just going to meet like once a month. And, we'll be really organized. And think about it. We work together every day. So it's so easy. We're right there.
A piece of cake.
And that lasted for like 10 seconds.
Dude, and you know what? I got super excited about it. Because it's, I feel like we're helping people. You know what I mean?
At the beginning, if you told me that we would be helping people, I would say,
Dude.
Yeah, we're telling people what we know, but it's going to help like a few people, maybe a couple of tidbits. I'm actually really shocked how much like feedback we've gotten back from all over the country.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of shocking.
It's awesome. And I will tell you, I thought that, so I went back and listened to like our first couple of podcasts,
which were just so bootleg.
Trash.
It's
trash.
It's even more bootleg than what you're hearing right now, folks.
They are trash.
Nah,
they're not. The content
is great. We're just terrible at podcasting.
It was like two dudes sitting in a tin can.
No, that's still exactly what it is now. But we learned to sit a little closer to the mic and.
Dude, I listened to our last podcast. There was some kid screaming the whole time.
Yeah, no, that happens because we're in a library.
Damn, shut up, kid. Anyway, so let's talk about what we accomplished. So we released 31 podcasts in 2019.
31.
You believe that?
I do believe that. I was there for all of them.
That's like one every other week. It's more than one every other week. Although right. I felt like there were times when there was like big gaps there.
There was, I mean, and there's a couple of times where we've done a few in a week.
That's true.
I mean, that's just the way a cookie crumbles.
So we went from the only people that listened were people that we begged to download the podcast. So we had 10 downloads.
Right.
To last count, 44,500 downloads in a year for 31 podcasts. That's pretty impressive. It comes out to about 1,500 downloads per podcast.
Right.
Awesome. So we did a live event at Vanish.
It was lots of fun.
Which was epic. Hundreds of people there. Give or take a few hundred. But it was a lot of fun.
There was 12 people there.
I think there was more than 12.
Well, I mean...
I'll call it 20. Anyway.
It was 20 people.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The timings. If the timing had been better, it would have been more people.
Well, and let's face it, like, this isn't exactly... The reason why this is cool is because it applies all over the country, and that's where people are interested in it. And there's only certain people that are right around
all over
us.
The world, dude.
Yeah, right, the world. Yeah. People coming in from Sri Lanka to listen to our podcast.
There's a ton of people from Australia.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm sure that these principles apply no matter where you're building
dude,
stuff. Right?
Absolutely they do. There's no question about it.
In lots of fields too. That's another thing that I've heard a lot is like people saying that they've listened, but they're not actually in construction management. They might be in construction, but they're listening because it applies.
They're obviously connoisseurs of
high quality podcasts. I guess
they're bored. They have nothing else to do. So what else do we do? So we released our show notes.
Right.
That was good. That was like a 30-page manual. Volume 2 is coming out in 2020. It's right now it's sitting at about 74 pages. Ton of content in it.
Right.
A ton. It's actually organized. There's a ton of content. And I will say this, every single person that downloaded the original show notes is going to get a free copy of the updated version as soon as it's finalized.
Very nice.
Because if you support this show, we support you, for sure. And I'll say, that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. We reviewed a ton of resumes, so hopefully we helped some people there.
Right.
I guess that's all we did in 2019. It seems like a lot. I'm tired.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure you are. You've put a lot of work into this.
I put a lot of work into this.
I just show up and talking to this mic, and then I'm like, man, that was tough, and I go home.
You're so good at it. So,
but hey, let's before you move on from what we did in 2019, let's talk about the fact that we have 44,500 downloads.
It's amazing.
Right now. Amazing. It's pretty cool that there's at least 1,000 regular listeners.
Yeah.
Which are actually picking up what we're putting down.
Definitely.
Yeah. I hope so.
Well, because if you look at the reviews,
I think I'm really freaking smart. So
I mean, you're so smart. There's at least one person that thinks that. So there's we've gotten a ton of comments. We still got that review. This one gave us a 1. I'm looking for that guy.
Yeah, well, that guy sucks.
But there've been a ton of reviews, and a lot of people have said the same thing.
Hey, Damien, can you talk into the mic, please?
Am I not talking into the mic?
I mean, you are now.
Yours is crooked.
Well, mine's crooked because it's a piece of junk, and it sounds better if it's at an angle.
I was looking at it, and I was like, why is this mic crooked? I forgot.
Yeah.
Do I keep doing that?
You keep like leaning over and start to fade out.
Yeah, because I'm looking for these people to reply.
I am going to be the keeper of the distance to the mic.
No, that's good. Somebody needs to. All right. I'm going to edit some of this out, but let's talk about...
You won't.
I will. There's surprising a lot. There's a lot of stuff that I've learned to edit out.
Yeah, I've noticed. Your editing game has gotten way better.
Dude, every time one of us says the F word, except for like once, I think I've edited it out.
I didn't realize that we've been dropping F-bombs.
All the time.
I think it's pretty much just you.
All the time. I'll listen to it when I'm editing, and I'm like, oh.
You know what's really funny is I have a really good filter when I'm like on my game. With customers, with your boss, in a meeting, with my mom.
Oh, yeah.
Like I can manage to keep my like words together. Mm-hmm. And then get around you.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
I don't know what it is about you. It makes me swear a lot.
It's funny. I find that if I'm in like a meeting or whatever, I was doing training for a bunch of CMs a while ago, and I said like, "Damn," and I was like, "Oh, excuse me, everybody."
And they're like, what? We've talked to you before.
One of the people that I was doing the training for, afterwards, she goes, did you apologize for saying damn? And I said, yeah, why? She's like,
you're like, shit, yeah.
She's like, Damien, I've heard you drop the F-bomb like 6 times in one sentence. I couldn't believe it when you apologized. And I was like, hey, there's a time and place for language like that. And when I'm doing training or I'm being professional, I got to be professional. If I'm on the job site, it's a little different.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I was like, I can turn it on, turn it off. All right. So let's talk about what's coming up in 2020.
Cool.
Because there's a lot. So obviously, we had talked about the manual. So version 2 of the manual. It's actually a textbook, ish. It's like a textbook. It's like it's a companion to the online training that's going to be released. Makes sense. And I'm going to say the beginning of February, end of January, beginning of February.
I'm fairly certain textbooks have to be published. So
this can be published.
I think it's more like a pamphlet.
Oh my god! Not a pamphlet.
It makes it blood boil
it's a companion. So the online training that we're going to offer on Builder Tactics, the manual will be a companion to it. So there's 10 chapters in the manual. There'll be 10 modules on the training. Cool. So you can go through the whole thing. At the end of it, you get certification from Builder Tactics in construction management. Put it on your resume. We'll talk about that more as we get closer to it. But that should be the end of January, the beginning of February. That'll launch officially on buildertactics.com. Excuse me. We've got another live event coming up. I'm trying. So here's the thing we want to do. So I want to. The last time we did our live event, it was just a podcast. We had 2 great guests come on. Mm-hmm. The next one, it's going to be more of an event. We're going to have a contest. Cool. So what we need is if you have any photos, I'd say we limit it to photos, not videos. Or if you got videos, you can send those to us as well. We're looking for the greatest construction fails that you can get your hands on. We're going to post them all. We're going to have a live event. We're going to show the photos or the videos, and we're going to rank them, top 10. And we will have prizes for the top 3.
Yeah, and also I think we should say we will keep your company anonymous in this whole
Absolutely.
Thing, right?
We will not talk about companies.
We will not talk about your company. We will make sure that is not disclosed. Try not to get your company's entry signed to your community in the background.
No logos.
Yeah.
We're not looking to get sued. So, but any kind of construction fail, you'll see if you go to our Instagram page, Conman Podcast on Instagram, you'll see a ton of pictures of just construction goofs that we've seen. The people have either sent us or I've seen myself or whatever. That's what we're looking for. So send us everything you got. We're going to put it all together. And when we do our live event, we're going to talk about the charity that comes from construction management, land development, because there's a ton of it with Homemade.
That's a big one for us.
It is. What are some of the other organizations out there?
I don't know.
There's Habitat for Humanity.
Of course.
There's
we really should have written a couple of these down before we started this. Those are the 2 we can think of right now.
Homemade's huge. So So anyway, so we're going to focus on the good that builders do, and then we're going to have an awards, construction management podcast award ceremony. And we're going to look at the biggest construction fails, and if you got something that you're just super proud of, something you've built, something your company built, and you just are like, this thing is awesome, send it to us.
Yeah.
Because we'll have best project award as well.
Yeah, we'll separate those 2 things.
Well, we'll definitely
just be a list of pictures of fails and then your really nice house you built.
So we'll have more details to come on that over the next couple of weeks. But super important, we're going to all right, so we'll have more details on the contest guidelines over the next couple of weeks. Live event, we're hoping sometime in the early spring. That way it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's nice because we'll probably end up being outside somewhere. Definitely going to be at a brewery of some sort. So if you have any suggestions, throw it out there.
Where else are we going to meet?
Because where else are we going to meet? But I think that venue last time was great.
It was great.
Anyway, so we are going to actually reach out to a couple of listeners that have been super supportive of the show. Let's see if we can get her.
Hey, this is Steph.
Steph, this is Damien. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, so I'm sitting here with Jason, and we're actually recording a podcast right now.
What's up?
Hi.
Hi. So we wanted to reach out to a couple of listeners that I know have been listening from the beginning for a long time, have supported the show, and just call you up. Thank you, first of all, for being a listener, and kind of ask you what you're doing in construction management.
Well, you're very welcome, first of all, and huge thank you guys for the podcast. It is one of my favorite. It's a highlight of my week when a new one comes out.
Awesome.
And usually I listen to it on the way to Colorado Home Building Academy, where I am still working on a certificate program in construction management.
Hey,
so
I wanted to ask you about that. Is Karen B one of your instructors there?
Yes, she is. Yes, she
Awesome.
taught plan reading the first semester, and she was fantastic.
She is one of. So I've actually talked about her on the show without giving her name away. I told Jason months ago that one of the CMs, one of the construction managers that worked for me, was probably the smartest one in the room always, and it was Karen.
Yeah, I think that's apt. I think that's a perfect description of her.
That is so cool. So we're going to have to get her. I'm going to make a note of that because we're going to have to get her on the show. So she just to give Jason some background. So I think she's got an architecture degree. We worked together at an urban infill company in DC.
Cool.
2006, 2007 came along. The construction industry as a whole took a crap. And Karen found herself, she was doing like purchasing or like project. I don't know what she was doing. She was like,
I think she was estimating and specifying.
Yeah, I think that's right. Because she was working with our architect at the time. Then she found herself out in the field as a CM, which was awesome, super organized. And then when things picked up again, I think she went back into the office.
Cool.
Hey, when did she move out to Colorado?
I'm not sure. Not too long ago, I think. So I know she's still a huge Nats fan, and so she had a great World Series.
Yeah.
She did.
So yeah, I think I want to say a year or so.
Awesome. So how far away are you from getting your certificate?
So I have the next semester starts in a couple of weeks, and it's just estimating 1 and estimating 2, and so they're just consecutive. So once I finish that, I'll know how to estimate.
Well, you were a super high achiever, right? Because you ran your own business, your own fitness gym or something.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about what you did that led you to this construction training?
Yeah. At what point did you lose your mind?
No, I mean, I love building things. I love building things and fixing things. And I think, as you know, because we're friends on Instagram, I tore apart my own basement. And I actually tried to get a contractor to come out. I had a couple of contractors come out and look at the project. And construction in Denver, renovation especially, is really difficult. It's such a boom town that everyone's busy. Anybody good you can't get. And so clearly the people that I talked to weren't, but nobody ever responded. So, and I don't think it was me, but
what do you mean? Nobody, you couldn't get a contractor to come over?
They never followed through on a bid. They would say they were going to send me a bid, and they would never send it, or they would send they would come out and take measurements. I mean, so it's like, I don't think it wasn't just over the phone. Oh, well, tell me about your projects, I'll send you a bid. People came to my house, measured things, and said they would follow up with a bid, and they just never would.
Oh, wow.
And so in Denver, basically there's just jobs all over the place, so you get better offered all the time. And I was so frustrated with that, and I thought, well, screw this. I'm just going to do it myself.
Nice.
And
awesome.
And I've been a homeowner for a long time, and I've always been interested in this stuff. And I think it's just having this house, which is kind of a lemon, and having to work on it all the time has got me really into doing stuff. I
also have a lemon.
Yeah. And it's kind of, some days it's fun, and some days I want to set it on fire and run away. But it just got me really interested in doing things the right way. And that and I guess, I don't know, one of my mantras for my current job is, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
And so I feel very
I'm
strongly
screwed.
about that. And so I've been really fine home building, for the last couple of years for no reason. I don't have any professional reason to know any of this stuff. I just, I don't know. I just like it. And I've always been a This Old House watcher.
I'd say 80% of the people that are in the business just liked it and just got into it.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel years old. And so I have this very high pressure consulting job, and I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And I just feel like I kind of want to do something different. And I don't feel a million years old. I just feel like on paper I'm a million years old to be completely changing careers.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I'm going to give it a shot.
Hey, so what aspect of construction do you want to get in? Do you want to do new home building? Do you want to do commercial? Do you want to do renovations? What's your interest?
When I first started thinking about this, I was thinking I wanted to do high-end residential, sort of like the NF Builders, all the kind of keep craft alive guys that have all the beautiful accounts. Matt Reisinger, the Build Show, that whole kind of like, just could I jump straight into super high-end? And what really got me thinking about that was Matt Reisinger did an interview where he talked about that he was talking about his annual revenues and that he had just hired a COO and that it had saved his life and it was brilliant, and that this guy had come from the corporate world where he was probably making more money compared to what Reisinger was paying him, but that he just loved it. Yeah. And I thought, ooh, light bulb. I could do that. Now all I have to do is find a high-end residential home builder doing $15 million a year who can afford me. Piece of cake, I figured.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
They're everywhere, right? And Denver is booming. And so I thought, well, I mean, maybe there's a way to do it. But the more I get into it, the more I'm kind of feeling drawn to commercial. I love commercial construction job sites. I will, if I can get into one, and I know this is super probably illegal and morally wrong, but if I can get onto a commercial construction site on a weekend or when there's nobody there to stop me, I will, and I will walk around and look at things, and I just love seeing how everything is
Stephanie,
being put together.
That's because it's gotten into your blood. I will tell you, I do not drive past a job site, commercial or residential,
without at least slowing down.
A lot of times I stop my car, I get out, I'll throw my hard hat on and pretend like I own the place. I start walking around, and like my wife gives me a hard time about it all the time, saying, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm just critiquing another builder."
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't even give me a hard time. It's like, oh, I guess we can go have lunch at that place, and I noticed across the street there's an apartment building being built. Do you want to go look at it?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I love you.
Do you carry a hard hat with you, because that gives you instant credibility?
Yeah.
Throw it on.
I don't, but I think a hard hat and a safety vest, maybe.
Do it. People will think you belong there. Yeah. They'll look at you and they'll be like, "Oh, that must be the architect."
Can I help you with something? And you're just like, "Yeah, I'm here to inspect your safety," and then they just go running away.
Perfect. I was on a multi-million-dollar commercial project maybe 6 months ago, and I don't know what I expected, but I was being given a tour, and it was like a 23-story building, and there were handwritten safety signs in like pencil all over the hallways, and I was like, this has got to be a $50 million project. What are you doing? And they're like, "Well, man,
saving money.
Just gotta, get it done any way we can." And I was like, wow.
Better write it down with pencil and paper than not to put it out there in the first place.
Yeah. So that's cool. So Stephanie, you keep doing what you're doing. We want you to, if you can reach out to us, give us a progress report. Let us. So when are you going to graduate with your certificate? When did you say?
I think estimating to finish is wrapped up in May.
May of 2020?
Yes.
And that's it? Then you get your certificate? That's awesome. Hey, what was involved with the...
I'm graduated. I know everything there is to know about construction.
Yeah, exactly. You made it.
Hey, what kind of courses did you take? I mean, how in-depth was it? What was the subject matter?
I would say, again, like coming from the career world that I come from, where everything is really hard all the time and super high pressure, I would say it was pretty low intensity. But I will say Karen's plan reading class was pretty intense. She's a hard ass, but in the best possible way.
She is a hard ass.
I learned north and not just how to read plans, although I learned a ton about that, but really just her whole attitude towards it. And she's so much like me in the sense that we're both sort of, 40-something nerdy women, and that she like takes no shit, and she's like, yeah, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it, and right. I dare you to try and stop me.
Oh, I can tell you, Karen gave me a fair amount of shit when we worked together.
I believe it. So plan reading, and then the other class was construction materials and systems, which is really just sort of an all-encompassing kind of high-level overview of every stage of the residential construction process. A lot of the people that are in this program are, either currently working in or heading towards production home building.
Awesome.
So I would say a lot of it is geared toward that audience. So here's we're not going to teach you everything about concrete, but here's what you would need to know as a PM or a superintendent about the concrete process to not screw it up too badly.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, that's good. So would you say it was more, I'm just trying to get in. So when Jason and I look at construction training, because we do tons of it, there's like soft skills, hard skills. Soft skills would be like leadership, time management, schedule management, stuff like that. Then there's like hard skills, like this is how HVAC system works. This is how concrete works. This is how you frame a house. We'd say it was a 50-50 balance or more toward the hard skills rather than the soft skills.
I would say this program, I'm doing the estimating track, and then there's also a superintendent track, and the superintendent track has a dedicated soft skills class that Karen teaches, with her gentle bedside manner. And so I didn't take that course, but I've been in management for 10 years now, so
yes,
I didn't feel like that was a big skills gap that I had, but so the estimating is definitely more hard skills.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right, Stephanie, we're going to let you go because we got a couple more listeners we're going to reach out to. But keep listening. We absolutely love it. You are the lifeblood of this podcast, and that is for sure.
Yeah. And definitely as you go on in this thing, we need to talk to you again. We hear a lot of people talking about they're going through school and that they're using this, supplementing what they're learning in school, and it's great to hear that it actually helps.
It's extremely, extremely helpful. And you know what? I do want to say just real quick that the podcast you guys did a few weeks ago where you both were like, oh, this is a podcast about nothing. That one is one of my favorite ones that there has ever been. It was super inspiring for me. So,
awesome.
None of your podcasts are about nothing, and they're all very much appreciated. So thank you guys.
Oh, cool. You're the best. You're the best.
If we had something to give you, we would just send it to you.
I know, we don't have anything. Hey,
thank you guys.
Hey, I rewrote the manual. I know you were one of the faithful that actually purchased it. So I'm up to about 74 pages. It'll probably be 80 or 90 before it's done. And I was saying earlier in this podcast, everybody that bought one, I'm just going to send them another one. It's way more organized than the last one. So you'll probably get that the end of January. So just look for it in your inbox.
I can't wait.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Really cool, and she's probably smarter than both of us.
Oh my God, there's no question.
I mean, I just said probably to be nice to us, but she's obviously smarter than us.
She's clearly got more brain power going on than the two of us put together.
Yeah, she should start a podcast.
No.
Hey, you should sell it to her that you're only going to do it like once a month and that it's really convenient. That maybe she should be on board.
What is that, sarcasm?
Yes, it was a little bit of sarcasm, yeah. Let's talk a little bit about how when we got here, there were no rooms open at the library. And so Damien's new thing is to enforce the 2-hour time limit rule where he goes, hey, are you guys going to be done here soon?
Hey,
because I noticed that you signed in more than 2 hours ago. And they're like, we're trying to tutor this kid so he can pass high school.
Oh.
And you're like, that sounds real important, but your time limit's up.
Oh, you're tutoring him?
Teach him in the parking lot.
If he was smarter, he wouldn't need to be tutored.
Well, listen to that. My buddy Jeremy works for a builder. He's a CM. And we were out with a friend of ours fishing the other day. Uh-huh. And he says, hey, have you ever listened to Shipe's podcast? And he's like, F no. And I'm never gonna. He's like, we hang out once a week. He can't shut the F up now. Why would I want to listen to him on my way to work? I was like, he's like, I'm never gonna listen.
Who asked him that?
Todd.
You're kidding me.
He's like, you ever listen to Shipe's podcast? He's like, no. I have to hear him run his trap one day a week because he's like my hunting buddy, and we used to play rugby together. So
my God,
we're like we're together at least one morning every week, just about.
He can't just listen to it.
No, he won't listen.
He can't download it. And
you know what really kind of stings a little bit? What? He listens to podcasts on a regular basis.
What an asshole! What's his name? Jeremy.
Jeremy, yeah, he's an asshole.
Jeremy, I'm coming for you.
He won't know because he's not listening. I'd like to say one thing about my boy. We'll just leave it at Austin. He used to work for the same company as I do, and he's taken a job in South Carolina. He's a superintendent or construction manager.
Wait, this Austin from...
Yeah.
Okay.
He texted me the other day, and he goes, hey, I walked into the production meeting the other day, and there were two guys sitting there, two CMs sitting there talking about this podcast they stumbled on, the Construction Management Podcast. And he was like, hey, I used to work for that guy.
I love that. Oh my God, that's
so
awesome.
great. The fact that we didn't like instigate that. Like in the beginning, everybody that listened was like my mom and like
Thanks,
people
Mom.
that
Thanks for listening, Mom.
People that I told them at work they had to listen to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they were like, we'll just listen to a little bit so we could say we did.
I feel like there was a lot of that.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of that.
Not anymore. Now we're big time.
Oh yeah, super big time. Everywhere I go, they're like, "Wow, there he is."
There he
I'm
is.
like, just no handshakes, please.
I think they're mistaking you for a criminal with that bald head of yours. They're like, oh my God, there he is.
Yeah. Well,
Keep your women and children safe. Get on the other side.
so
of
what
the
else do we
street.
have to talk about?
So one of the things I want to talk about, just briefly, because I want to make it. I want to make a point of bringing this up this year. There is so much good. So I'll tell you a story that I had a conversation with a friend of mine a couple of years ago, actually. She lives out in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. She's constantly complaining about plastic homes. It's what she calls like modern day homes. Mostly because she has no understanding.
And because some homes are like pretty much built out of plastic.
I mean, some are. Mm-hmm. So anyway, but she's constantly complaining, right? So she lives in the middle of nowhere. She lives on a dirt road, constantly getting flooded out. And we had a party or whatever, and I'm talking to her, and she starts talking about her road got washed out, and man, she wishes it would be paved. And I wish they would just pave the road. She keeps saying this, right? And I'm like, that's interesting. But at the same time, she's complaining about all the developments going up around her. And I said, do you know who paves those roads? And she's like, no, who? And I said, developers.
Yeah, 90% of the time, it's part of the deal for
It's
zoning.
part of the time, right? It's part of the deal, right? So when you go and you say, hey, I want to build this development, the local authority says, you can build this development, but there are things you have to do to improve the community around you, like put in roads, put in traffic controls, like lights and stop signs.
Or donate this 50-acre piece of your huge development for a school.
For schools, right? So there's so much good. So as soon as I explained that to her, I was like, you understand that it's developers that put the roads in. Like the local government isn't like, hey, let's put a road in today.
Right.
They get the developers to do it in exchange for allowing them to build the houses in the towns and whatever they build. And as soon as I told her that, she was like, you're kidding me. And I said, no. And it was
But
like,
wait a minute, I thought you knew everything.
well, she's like, I said, you understand? But developers and builders are not the enemy here. They're not out there just ravaging the land like everybody says they are. They're actually building good. Besides the fact that they're building homes better than we ever have as a civilization.
Man.
Better, tighter, just the quality of construction that goes in today. Even though people are like, oh, I love my home that's 200 years old, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah, and the wind blows on it.
Yeah.
They're all your light sockets.
So besides the fact that the quality is 100 times better than it was, it's developers that bring infrastructure, water, electric, sewer, paved roads, traffic controls,
Totally.
schools. And on top of that, builders in general, land developers, are some of the most generous people I've ever met. They have a huge love for nature, a love for, just sustainability, but they also have a love for charity. And one of the things I want to talk about this year, especially at our live event, is the charitable good that builders and developers do.
Sure.
Because if you've ever been to...
Because it's not just all taking the farm that you used to look across the street at. And
It's not.
yeah,
It's
building
really
houses
not.
on it. Actually, it's less like that now than it's been in our area.
For sure. So I want to highlight that. So throughout the year, I want to highlight certain organizations that really take the time to give back. And I will say that Homemade is an umbrella organization. and they raise money, then they give it to other smaller organizations around them. And I really want to focus on them because they're huge in our area and we're familiar with them. But if you've ever been to any kind of a developer charity event, the amount of money that is given back by the developers and the tradesmen and the builders.
I was going to say the tradesmen are usually shockingly generous, man.
So generous.
Every time I go to one of those events, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah. And I just want to take some time throughout the course of this year of 2020 and highlight some of the individuals and the companies that have given back, and also highlight some of the major organizations. Yeah. And I think we'll probably start with Homemade because they're nationwide.
Well, you keep saying it, but we don't have confirmation that they want any part of this yet, right?
Who wouldn't want some part of this?
I mean, I know that's a stupid question, but
I'm going to highlight them whether they like it or not.
They're going to have to. I think we better get on that show. Hurry up before they tell everybody what we're about and they're wrong.
That's right. Anyway, so
can we do one thing though in 2020 that I don't want to lose sight of?
What do you want to do?
You just mentioned it while we were talking with Stephanie. I want to focus on the hard skills and soft skills. I want to talk about. I don't want to lose sight of the things that we're good at, what we've built this podcast on, what we're good at, and the things that we've learned. I mean, look, everybody knows studs got to be straight up and down, and they shouldn't have a hook in them. You know, they should. They should go straight. They shouldn't be moldy. They should. You know, you shouldn't be able to go inside and look outside through the wall. Like those are some of the basic things, but there's a lot to learn, and probably one of the only things it's hard to describe in a podcast, but I want to talk about it. How you change hats, because as a CM, one moment you're being forceful with a subcontractor about improving their quality or what time they show up and how long it takes them to do their job and finishing 100%. And then you got to take that hat off real quick and call a homeowner and meet them and show them their experience that they expect.
Yes.
And then you got to take and put another hat on and you got to go speak with your boss or upper management at a review and speak to what you know about your job. And I don't want to lose sight of that. I think that that's a really important part of what we're doing here.
That is super important. Yeah, because you're right. Construction managers wear multiple hats every day. Mm-hmm. So I love it. All right, so let's recap what's coming up.
Okay.
So we've got the manual and the online training, end of January, beginning of February. We have a live event, early spring, at a brewery of some sort. I mean, it's not planned or anything, but I'll get to it.
I mean, it's a great idea at this point.
We're going to highlight a ton of the charity organizations because I think it's super important that people understand that builders are very generous, developers, tradesmen, that sort of thing. And we're definitely going to focus on the soft and the hard skills. So we're going to build on what we've already done over the 2019, and we're just going to keep adding to it. You know, different soft skills, different hard skills. We'll try and hit one each podcast, one or the other. And believe it or not, we have a ton of guests lined up to come on the show. Not going to give out their names yet, but there are a ton of people that want to come on the show. Some CEOs, some super impressive tradesmen. It's going to be exciting. 2020 is going to be super exciting, man. I think you definitely want to stay tuned because we're going to do a lot of good this year.
Cool.
Awesome. All right. So everybody remember buildertactics.com. Jump on the website. Register to get news. Dude, full disclosure, I have not sent out a single email. I promise not to spam your email address because I haven't
He is living up to that promise.
I have not sent a single email out, but I will. I am going to send, so everything we talked about today, I'm going to send out an email just so people can anticipate it. The manual's still there. What we've got, download it. If you download it now, when the new one comes out, I'll automatically send you a new one or the revised version of it. Up to I don't know, whatever. Download it now between now and I'll say January 10th. If you download the manual, you'll get the original one, and then when the new one comes out, I'll send you a brand new copy as well.
Sweet.
I think that's it. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. We haven't done much with the YouTube channel.
5 stars on the podcast, folks.
5 stars on the podcast. We love it. Thank you so much for your support in 2019, and we hope to keep this up all the way through 2020. Thanks so much.